At this time, I'd like to call our meeting to order. I welcome you tonight to our regular Commissioners meeting, Town Board meeting. We have with us tonight Pastor Michael Mathis from Mitchell Fields Ministry to lead us in our invocation, which will be followed by our Pledge of Allegiance. We welcome you this evening, and if you will, all please rise for invocation.
Once again, O Lord God of the universe, we have come together now, Lord, to acknowledge, first of all, your presence here and to give thanks to you, God, for your loving kindness and your mercy upon all of humanity, especially the citizens here of Hope Mills and the surrounding counties. And we thank you for this evening. And God, as we come now, we also remember how frail we are and our great need for you to be involved in the affairs and the things, God, that you would establish here in the earth, especially here in the town of Hope Mills. And Lord, we ask, Lord, wherever there may be division or sin, Lord, we acknowledge that and we ask for your forgiveness. Father, we're forever grateful for our leaders. You tell us to pray for those that are in leadership above us or over us. And so we ask you, Lord, to continue, God, to keep a shield of protection around Mayor Jackie Warner and her family, Lord, as she go out and she leads, Lord, this council and this town, Lord, toward victories and the things that they're accomplishing. Lord, we give thanks to you for the things that have happened under her leadership, as well as the board. Lord, we ask for your continued protection around them and their families, Lord. We thank you because we know, God, that no good thing, Lord, will you withhold from us, and there are many that would be against the things that you would have us to help establish, Lord, and do in this place. We continue, God, to be forever grateful for those who are willing to put their lives in harm's way, especially our first responders, Lord. We thank you for them, God, and the guardian and warring angels, Lord, that you keep encamped around them, their vehicles, as well as at their backs. Oh, Lord, continue to shield them and be with them, their children and their families. And now, Lord, as they get ready to embark on the agenda for the night, we know, Lord, that you have given men wisdom. But God, we call upon you and we beseech you, Almighty God, to grant us godly wisdom, that we might make the decisions that are good for this town and for this country. And we just thank you tonight, God, for everything, all the wonderful things, Lord, that you have done here in the town of Hope Mills. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. At this time, is there any additions or deletions to our agenda?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Tonight, we're very fortunate to have a special guest with us, and it is Deputy Garrison Commander Justin Mitchell of Fort Bragg. Met this gentleman at the change of command recently, and then again we saw another talent he had when he came out for our food truck rodeo. So welcome this evening, and we're looking forward to what you bring as far as your presentation.
Mayor, thank you. Board members, I appreciate the opportunity, and good to see you again, Miss Melissa. What a great food truck rodeo! I got to tell you, that was a great event, and I've been to a few of them, but you did well, and I enjoyed it. I just wanted to take a couple minutes really quick and just kind of give you a State of the Union of Fort Bragg. And really quickly, I gave you some slides, but I'm going to talk to the fact that Fort Bragg is alive and well, and Fort Bragg isn't going anywhere. We have a premier power projection platform that the nation counts on for what's called Tier 1 deployment missions with USASOC, JSOC, and AFSOG, Air Force Special Operations Group, as well as our Global Response Force and our DSURF missions. We are a critical deployment node for the entire nation, not the Air Force, not the Army, for the nation. And we have 2-hour, 18-hour, and 72-hour timelines to deploy power to anywhere in the world. And I just want you all to rest assured that when you read about someone in Korea that's been kidnapped, or someone in China, or someone in Afghanistan, an American citizen somewhere, please rest assured that somebody from Fort Bragg is either there or shortly going to arrive there to determine the best means to get involved with whatever that situation is. So I hope you sleep well, because your guardians of freedom are right at your doorstep. A couple other things I'd like to just point out. The garrison is much like a city, except that my boss, the garrison commander, is like the mayor of Fort Bragg, and he's responsible for every building there, not just the municipal buildings, every road, everything he's responsible for. 52 million square feet of facility space. We've been through 3 hurricanes and a couple weather events, and one of the things that I would love for the surrounding communities to know is we quickly become needing capacity for roof repair, just like you, roof repairs during crisis. And we have lots of contract opportunities for anybody that wants to start a contract or a small business, and I can get you a packet on how to contract with the United States government, Fort Bragg. We have about 53,000 soldiers, and we service a population of about 263,000. So depending on who you talk to, we're either the 5th or the 7th largest city in North Carolina. And I always say that we're the best gated golf community in North Carolina. We have 2 great golf courses. Our gates just have people with guns, and but we are your army base. We survive and we live because of you all and your great patriotism towards our soldiers. And we really want you to use Fort Bragg, be a part of Fort Bragg. There's a misnomer that it's hard to get on Fort Bragg now with the restrictions. It absolutely is not. Unless you have an open warrant or a felon, you're welcome in, so you're all welcome. And in fact, the 4th of July we'll have 3 Doors Down as a free concert. So some of us remember that of our age, right, sir? We have about 1,400 miles of roadways, and we have railways, and we just made an agreement with North Carolina Department of Transportation. I'm going to invest about $24 million to get my roadways up to a standard, and then NCDOT is going to take them, put them on their books, and they're going to be responsible for sustaining them from now on. And that saves me about $35 million annually, and that's your tax dollars that I'll reinvest back into the infrastructure of Fort Bragg, which is pretty old. It's a Korean era and infrastructure. And we have 2 brand new unmanned aerial vehicle companies. And if you think about robotics and unmanned vehicles and the things that are going on today, Fort Bragg is the tip of new technology and new military platforms, and I have to have the infrastructure to support them. And so that's what I'm working on investing our money, your tax dollars in. But I want you to know that Fort Bragg is your military installation. I have 6,150 homes on Fort Bragg, and I can house 1/3 of my population, which means 2/3 of my soldiers and families live with you all. They're your neighbors, they're your volunteers at church, they're your Cub Scout leaders, Boy Scout leaders, and sometimes they're your rowdy neighbors that need a little help, and I can help with that too if you ever have issues with soldiers in your neighborhood. But I did want to take this opportunity to just let you know that Fort Bragg is growing. And we just stood up, what you'll see on the 4th slide in the patch chart, what we call the patch chart, is it says we have 39 general officers at Fort Bragg. We actually now have 41, more general officers than anywhere else than the Pentagon. And we just stood up the Special Forces Assistant, Security Forces Assistant Battalion, which is a 1-star, and the Security Forces Assistant Command, which is a 2-star, and they're now at Fort Bragg. So we increased about 753 soldiers. Why am I saying all of this? Because we're counting on you all to provide good, affordable family housing. You all know, and I brag about you all the time, you have one of the best schools in the district. And I'll give you an example about our young people today, and I'm an example of that. I'm sitting in Germany, and I get orders to a different base that I've never been to. So what does a soldier do? They come up on social media and they say, where does mama want to live? Where's the best schools next to that base? And gratefully, your social media, your Facebook page for Jack Britt comes up as one of the best schools in this area. And so you are going to get more soldiers and family members moving to your area. And I'm telling you, get ready, there's going to be more than that coming. And don't underestimate the power of social media and your Facebook presence, because that's where our soldiers and families live today. They live on social media. The second thing I did when I was in Germany, as I said, find me a realtor in that area. And then I called the realtor and I said, find me a house in this school district because that's where I want my kids to go to school. You folks do that well. And I want you to be proud of that, but don't rest on that. Continue to push your social media presence, particularly the fact that you have one of the best schools around Fort Bragg. And so I did want to present a couple of facts. Fort Bragg, most of you guys have probably been stationed at Fort Bragg or at least know something about it, right? And so for those of you that don't, it's a big city. We have 13 access control points. We have 14 gymnasiums. We have 17 child care facilities. We deliver 7 to 9 babies a day at Womack Army Hospital. And it goes up during deployment cycles. So 9 months after deployment, it goes up. So we have between 7 and 9 traffic accidents in the morning, and we have 20 on average every single day on Fort Bragg. And yes, sometimes it's distracted driving, which we're trying to get at, and you guys, I know, probably have to deal with that as well. But I did want to come and say that we appreciate your partnership. We appreciate Hope Mills' support of our soldiers and our families. And I want to be as much as involved as you want me to be, and I'm here to support you because that supports our soldiers and our families. If you have any questions, I don't want to I know I've already taken up some of your time, but we're going to get bigger. The Air Force side has got new platforms coming. If you have any questions for me, I could answer them now. But at any point in time, if you want to come back and have a one-on-one meeting, or if somebody wants to talk to me afterwards, I'll hang around a little bit to answer any questions. So, Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much. And just know that we are proud to be partners with Fort Bragg, and it's amazing what happens out there. I've been privileged lately to go to several events, and the pomp and circumstance, the patriotism, you just feel it. But also you feel so safe. And I just want you to know, getting on the base, it wasn't difficult, but it made me feel good because they checked every car that went through. So you knew that once you got on there, you were just as safe as you were out here. So we appreciate it, and do know that my understanding is right now Hope Mills has one of the larger populations of active military, and we have become the site for many retired veterans. So
Yes,
we
ma'am.
appreciate that also, because it only makes us better too.
Yes, ma'am. And if you're going to come to Fort Bragg tomorrow, we're having a very large active shooter exercise. So if you see a bunch of people with guns running around, please don't join them. Don't try to help, because it is just an exercise. And for anybody that read the paper about 2 months ago, we did an electricity redundancy exercise where we didn't tell anybody in our chain of command, and we turned the power off for 8 hours. And so if you ever get the opportunity to do that, I'd pass. So that was a very painful afternoon, because the FORCECOM 4-star commander, the 3-star general of MCOM, we didn't tell them because we wanted to give it as real as possible. We had several teams of electricians from MIT down to run the exercise with us, and we had the Office of the Secretary of Defense sitting next to us, which is the only reason I probably have a job today. So I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have a presentation on PwC customer data by Senior Customer Programs Officer Mark Brown. Welcome back, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for this time to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing for our customers. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things you may have heard from the media that we're doing and why we're doing them, and how they give our customers the opportunity to save money and have some choices about the things that they do with our products and services. So I'll give you a little background on how we got to this place and why we're doing what we're doing. Talk to you a reason about why we're doing time of use rates and some of the value of that. Tell you how time of use rates work at PwC. Talk about the power tools we have for our customers to work and with these time of use rates and make choices to help them improve the choice between comfort and saving money. Talk about what we've done with customer outreach to make the customers aware of these kinds of things. Talk about some of the other customer tools we have, and what some of the future offerings we have for our customers. And one of the things in the other customer tools is I'll show you our customer portal on our website, which gives the customers to look and see some detailed information about how they use electricity, and sometime probably at the end of this month they'll be able to go in and see detailed information about how they use water. So just a little background. PwC is community powered. We're owned by the city of Fayetteville, so we're a nonprofit municipal utility. We serve electricity, water, and sewer in Cumberland County, and we're locally owned and governed. So our commissioners are local people. They have to be local citizens. They have to live in our service territory, and they're appointed by the Fayetteville City Council. So it's local ownership and local governance, which is important as a community hometown utility. The time of use rates that I'm going to talk about has been part of a 10-year plan. And that's one of the things that's a little bit different about utility business. It's very heavily focused on long-term planning, trying to plan for what this asset that's going to be here for 30 years, when do you put it in, how do you use it, and how do you take full advantage of that and prepare for the next time you have to replace or modify it. We have a completely new information systems. We changed out, beginning in 2012, we changed out our customer information system, our mobile workforce system for dispatching crews, our financial system, our asset management system, and our meter data system. So we changed out the whole new system because we knew that that system, which works together, was necessary in order to do the kinds of things we wanted to do with our new meter system, which we completed in 2016. So we replaced all of our electric and water meters with a new meter. It's called an AMI meter, which stands for Automated Meter Infrastructure, but it allows us to hear from our meters and talk to our meters. So it's a two-way communication system. So we can do lots of things with that help us and make it more efficiency and help customers do different things. And we also have a lot of data. So we have, from all of our meters, 170,000 meters, we have information on how much customers used every hour of every day. So why time of use rates? We buy all of our power from Duke Energy Progress, which used to be Carolina Power and Light. So we're what we call a full requirements customer. We buy all our power from them. The way our contract with them is structured is there's 1 hour every month where every kilowatt hour we buy from them costs us $20. We sell those kilowatt hours for about 10 cents, and it costs us $20 that 1 hour. Every other hour of the month, it costs us less than 3 cents. So that's a very clear price signal that says if we can do things either with our own facilities or working with our customers to allow them to reduce their usage during that 1 hour, then there's a lot of money that can be saved and we can lower everybody's electric bills. So time of use rates, what they do is they align the way we bill our customers with the way we pay for power. So when it's more expensive for us to buy power, we charge the customers a little bit more, and when it's less expensive, we charge them a little bit less. So that gives them the opportunity to make a choice between their electric bill and convenience or comfort. So if you wanted to, for example, if you wanted to set your thermostat differently, it might be a little less comfortable, but you could save some money, you can do that. If you want to leave it alone and pay a little bit higher bill, you can do that. If you want to change when you do laundry or do the dishes, you can do those things. So it gives you customers a lot of choice and flexibility about how they spend their dollar. And the information in the portal will tell them, let them look at that and see what they're doing and help them adjust to that. So our time of use rates, every one of our residential customers are on a time of use rate. Everybody who's on our church rate is on a time of use rate. And all of our small non-residential customers, if their demand is less than 30 kW, which is most of the small customers, there's about 5,000 of our electric customers are small residential, on a time of use rate. The hours of the time of use rate are seasonal. That 1 hour I talked about is the hour when Duke Energy Progress's total system load is at the highest. That happens both, it's due heavily to weather, so when you have cold weather in the wintertime and warm weather in the summertime, you get high loads all over the Duke Energy Progress system. The peak usually happens in the wintertime at the hour ending 8 o'clock, because that's when both the residential world, people are up getting ready to school, getting ready to go to work, and the business world. I'm sure at 7 o'clock in the morning, this building is heating or cooling to get ready for the people to come into work. I know our building is, offices all over. So the residential world and the business world are both using energy at the same time. And then in summertime, it happens usually between 4 o'clock in the afternoon and 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's the same thing. It's when people are coming home from work, and the business world and the residential world are both using energy at the same time. So the total system load is higher. And that's what drives that 1 hour peak. 1 hour each month. So in the summertime, April through October, the peak hours are between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. And in the wintertime, November through March, they're 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Of the whole hours, all the hours in the year, 8,760 hours in a year, 88% of them are off-peak. All weekends and all PWC holidays are off-peak, and everything outside of those 4 hours are off-peak. So the very vast majority of the hours are off-peak. So there's 20 hours each weekday. All weekends and holidays are are all off-peak, and there's 4 hours each day, that rate is about 9 cents a kilowatt hour. That's 10% cheaper than what we were charging before. So if you use energy in the off-peak hours, your bill will be less than it was before, about 10% less. The on-peak hours are 4 hours each weekday. That's 30% more than the off-peak hour than it was before. So it used to be 10 cents, now it's 13 cents. So if you decide to use power in the off-peak, you can pay a little bit more, but you can choose to do things to reduce that and save some money. You can save a significant amount of money moving from 13 cents to 9 cents. So here are some of the things that we do to help our customers not only respond to time of use rates, but also to help them be energy and water efficient. So we have several different appliance programs. We have a residential Energy Star appliance programs for refrigerators, dishwashers, clothes washers, and clothes dryers. So if you buy an Energy Star certified, which is a federal government certification, okay, you can get bill credits that you see back there, get direct bill credit to save for that. You submit an application with the receipt about what you bought, and you get a bill credit that the next month for your bill. We also have a residential LED light bill credit, both for bulbs up to $100 for at least 8 LED bulbs, and we also have a holiday light program in Christmas time for people who want to buy holiday LED lights to help them be more energy efficient to celebrate the holidays. Heating and cooling, we have an HVAC efficiency program. If you buy a 16 SEER heat pump or higher, you can get an energy efficiency rebate. We also have programs if you have older home, the ducts start to leak and you're starting to heat or cool the space where you're not living. So if you do go in and have somebody do a duct replacement for you, you can get bill credits for that. Or if you upgrade your insulation, you can get bill credits for that. So that's to help mostly on the energy efficiency side, all of those, reduce the total amount of energy that you use. We also do free home residential walkthrough audits. We have some software that the municipal utilities in North Carolina put together to go through the major things that a customer can do to be more efficient in their home. And it walks them through and gives them a nice written report. And when we do that, we give them a home energy efficiency kit and a water efficiency kit with like low flow shower heads, LED bulbs, and things like that to help them be more energy efficient and water efficient. And for the time of use rates, we have 2 thermostat programs. We have a peak savings program where we purchase the thermostat, we install the thermostat, and we have the ability to control the thermostat to try and reduce the usage on that thermostat that 1 hour each month. So the customers get a bill credit for participating in that. Then we also have what we call a buy your own or bring your own thermostat program. If you buy a Wi-Fi energy efficiency thermostat that you can set the thermostat using your smartphone. So if you leave and you want to change I forgot, you just go into your smartphone and change it. You can do that, and then you can manage the time of use rates especially. It's a very effective way to decide what you want to do to respond to those price signals you get on your time of use rates. We also have water and wastewater efficiency programs. We have a bill credit up to $225 for low flow toilets, and we also have a rain sensor bill credit. I don't know how many times you come home and saw your neighbor with the sprinkler running when it's raining, which is always a little frustrating, but that's because the sprinklers come on automatically. A rain sensor senses there's been rain and tells the sprinkler system not to come on. So you save water that way. So some of the things we've been doing in the community. So the commission approved these time of use rates in March of 2018. So we've had a year to communicate to the citizens about what it was, and that was intentional on the commission's part because we knew it would take the customers a while to get used to this and do that. So we've been going to service organizations, to luncheons, talking about what we're doing. Church groups, Neighborhood Watch, Homeowners Association. We made a presentation to the Fayetteville City Council about 2 months ago, and we're making one to the Hope Mills Commissioners today to tell people about this. We've been in the media with radio ads, television ads, local and print media, and an WIDU radio show to talk about these so citizens can hear what we're doing. So some of the other things that we do with our meters, and I think this first one here is something that I think is, well, I guess I'm most proud of. So our water meters, and this seems a little bit strange, if you use water constantly for 24 hours, using water every half second, if you think about that for a second, every half second, it's unusual for you to be using water all the time. In your home, electricity, you're probably using some electricity all the time in your home, whether it's the refrigerator running or you got a night light on or something like that. But it's unusual for you to be using water consecutively for 24 straight hours. If you do that, we get an alert. We get 100 of these every day. 100 of these every day. About 80% of these are toilets that have a stuck flapper, or they have the handle stuck, and so you get toilets. It's amazing how much water can go through a toilet when the flapper is wide open. So what we do is we look at that every day. We look at those and we say, how much water was used that day? If it was over 1,000 gallons, we send one of our conservation specialists out to the home that day, because if we can't get a hold of the customer, we want to turn the water off. We don't want them to get a high bill. Also, if the broken pipe inside the house, we don't want them to damage the house any more than they can. So we'll turn the water off. If it's still running, we'll turn it off, and then we'll leave them a note, and they can call us, and we can come back and talk to them. But we want to make that personal contact if it's a large amount of water. If it's between 300 gallons and 1,000 gallons, we'll do an automated phone call. And we'll call them and say, your home looks like it has some unusual water usage. These are the kinds of things you can do. Here's a number you can call back if you have any questions, so that they can decide what they want to do about that, and we're there to help them. And if it's 300 gallons or less, we send a postcard. And you say, well, why a postcard? Well, what we found when we started doing this, we were calling all these people, and it was a small leak. It was hard for them to find. And so if we called them and they called a plumber, or they called their neighbor to come over and they couldn't find, they were kind of frustrated and a little mad at us. So we said, we still want to tell them, but we don't need to tell them so quickly. And usually if this is a toilet or something like that, it will get big eventually. So we notify them when it gets big, they moves up to the next step. If they get it right away, then they know about that and do that. So that seems to be working very well, trying to stage the way we do that. We are going to move into doing emails and text messages eventually as they get our systems upgraded to do that, to come up to the standards that people expect to be able to do those kinds of things. We have essentially eliminated high water bill complaints. We don't get high water bill complaints anymore, because almost all of them were caused by something like this. And when we get it 1-2 days in, like over a weekend, maybe it's 3 days before we see it, instead of 30 days, the amount of water that's used, the fact that we reached out to you before you found it, it's a whole different kind of conversation. It's a much more positive conversation. Our customers love this service. So it's very helpful. And of course, all the water customers in Hope Mills, it's really a good service for all your citizens too. We have a new interactive voice response system, IVR, that allows you to do a lot more things than our old system used to do. You can make bill payments. You can ask for bill extensions automatically on the system. So that's very helpful. We have a new bill format that's much easier to read with the graphs and things like that. So that's an improvement. All of these, because of the new systems we put in, we're able to do these things. And we have a customer portal, which I'm going to give you a little brief demonstration about how that works. So let me get this up so you can see it. So I'll give you a little caveat. This is my bill. So I live in a 1-bedroom, 700 square foot apartment, and so it doesn't look like your house. So if it looks like I'm not using a lot of electricity, that's part of the reason why. And the other thing is, I'm kind of geeky when it comes to this stuff. So what I do every morning when I leave is I turn the breaker off to my hot water heater. I turn my HVAC system off. I turn all my power strips off. And I started doing this 3 years ago so I could learn, just get my head around the kinds of things, not necessarily you would do it that way, but the kinds of things that customers could do to save energy. So when you look at this bill, you'll see not only do I not use a whole lot of energy, but I don't use a lot of on-peak energy. Because a lot of times I won't come home to maybe 6 o'clock, and there's only 1 more hour of the on-peak. So you can see the red bars are the amount of on-peak energy, and the green bars are the amount of total energy. And those are in percentages. So in the last bill, I had 6% of my energy was on peak. Our average customer before time of use rates was 21% on peak. And we're interested to see what kind of changes we can see in both how much customers do to save money and what it does on that 1 hour, how much energy we save on that 1 hour each month, because they're responding to that. And if you click on this, on daily, and for that month you can see each day, day by day, what my usage was, both total usage and on-peak usage. All right, and you're eventually going to be able to go in and see that hourly. So you'll be able to see what you're doing on peak hourly. So you'll be able to say, well, I'm going to turn my thermostat back a little bit today, and I'll come back in a couple days and look and see how much energy I saved because I did that. Or I'm not going to do my dishwasher on peak today. I'm going to do that off peak and see how much energy I save today. So this is going to be a very powerful tool for customers to be able to see what they're doing and how they can react to the time of use rates. This is a monthly comparison rate. It compares the last 3 months, what you use. So you can see the first two, and that's November and December. You see that we don't have November of 19 or December of 19. That's why there's only 2 bars there. But what reason I wanted to show you that is look at the January bill. Look at January 2018. All right. Does anybody remember what happened here in January 2018? Polar vortex. It was below 32 degrees for like 70 some hours. The average temperatures were way below normal. Okay, so even in my one little 700 square foot bedroom with everything turned off, look how much energy I used in January of 2018. The weather drives this usage. We're really believe strongly that when customers get these price signals and they start to engage and see how they use energy and when they use energy, that they'll start to understand those connections and start to be able to make more informed decisions about how they spend their energy dollar. And eventually, like I said, in the next month or so, you'll be able to go in and see electric hour by hour, and you'll be able to see your water information eventually hour by hour also. So I just want to give you a little clue about how those things you can do. You can pay bills on this portal, lots of different things, but it's really designed with our meter system to provide this information to customers so they can make good decisions. So some of the other things that we're going to be able to do, we just finished installing a solar array and a battery, storage battery at adjacent to our Butler Warner power plant on the east side of the river. And so that's going to be a community solar project where PWC Electric customers can sign up and get a subscription fee each month to help pay for the cost of that, and then also get a bill credit. Looks like the customers will save a little bit of money each month at the beginning of that, but then you can participate and help to fund local solar energy, which a lot of our customers want to be able to do that, want to make it happen. So that's a way that the community solar will allow us to do that. We're in the process of installing an outage management system. I don't know if any of you were watching what we were doing with our communications on social media during Hurricane Florence. Hurricane Florence, we didn't have an automated outage management system, but we did have all the information from the meters. So what we were doing is we're taking the information from our meters, putting them in a spreadsheet, and producing maps that showed how many customers we had out when we start to put people back, how fast they can come out. And so we got a lot of very positive response from the customers' ability to know who was out, where they were out, how many they're out, and with that comes when are you going to get back, who's getting back now, and those kinds of things. The outage management system will automate all of that. It'll make it more efficient. There's some things we couldn't do before manually. It'll improve our communications with customers. Eventually we can get to the point that when you call in, we'll say, we know you have an outage and here's when we think you'll be back. So that's the kinds of things we're working on to do that. Along with that, we're going to do distribution and substation automation. What that will do is it will recognize where the power outage is. It will automatically operate switches to restore the power to people we can, and it'll identify for our crews exactly where the problem is so they can drive directly there and fix it right away. So we'll fix it a lot faster, a lot fewer people will be out of power. And it's all because of the investment in these infrastructures and IT systems that we do to be able to take advantage of the technology that's really changing our industry. Eventually, and we can do a little bit of this now, we can monitor water pressure on with our large meters. We can put a small device on. We can use the same communication system we use for electricity, and we can monitor the pressure around our system. And eventually, we think we'd be able to have essentially equivalent water outage management system. So a couple things. During Hurricane Matthew, we had a lot. Hurricane Matthew, as you know, was a water event, a lot of flooded roads, a lot of washed out, broken water mains. We had boil water advisories because when a water main breaks underwater, you don't know it's broken. It breaks on a dry day, you can see it spurting up through the road, but when it's underwater, you don't know it's broken, so you have to figure out where to go to fix it. If we were able to monitor pressure and communicate it real time, we'll be able to know where to go to fix it. In January of 18, we had a valve on a water main break in the middle of the woods. Nobody saw it. It took us a long time to find out where it was, and our pressure dropped, and we had to have another boil water advisory. So we really believe that we get this technology installed, we'll be able to be much better to do that, prevent boil water advisories. I remember I talked to many people who were out eating on a Friday night and had the restaurants, because they didn't have water pressure, had to send them home, which is not good for the community at all, not good for the citizens. So those are some of the many things that we're working on, and I just wanted to bring you up to speed on that. And with that, do you have any questions?
Anyone have questions?
Mr. Brown, do you know how many Hope Mills citizens subscribe for electric services from PwC?
I think we have a couple thousand electric service. I think most of your electric service is Duke. I know, like on Hope Mills Road, we're on one side of Hope Mills Road, they're on the other side, and when you come into town toward Main Street, it's mostly Duke then. So it's relatively few electric.
Thank you.
Thank you
Okay,
so much.
thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate the information. Thank you. At this time, we have a public hearing. It's case P19-27, and it's the rezoning of 77.3 plus or minus acres from C3 heavy commercial and CP planned commercial to MIP planned light industrial or to a more restrictive zoning district. It's located on both sides of Service Road 2333, which is Corporation Drive, west of Walmart Drive, submitted by Palmer Williams on behalf of Pelican Property Holdings, LLC, and Great Oaks Property Holdings, LLC, owners, and William Seymour, agent. And I'll turn it over to Chancellor at this time, Mr. McLaughlin.
Hello, Madam Mayor, distinguished board members. Again, this is case P1927. What you have before you now, and I started doing this at the request of Commissioner Bellflowers, this is a map that just kind of gives you an idea of the relationship for our MIA. Everything you see outlined in red is town limits. Everything outside of that is in our MIA. So the area you see highlighted in yellow does indicate that this property is located within the jurisdiction of Town of Hope Mills. In terms of zoning, if you look to your immediate southeast and northeast, the entire area is zoned under heavy industrial and light industrial or industrial uses. The area to the immediate south is zoned under commercial designations. You have agriculture areas to the south as well. I-95 is situated to the direct north of the property, and you have a small residential area zoned under RR district regulations to the north, and then more industrial uses beyond that to the north. In terms of land uses, you have Dirtbag L's directly across the street from Corporation Drive, H&H Body Repair, Walmart Distribution Center, things of that nature. In terms of the area view, this kind of just gives you an idea of the makeup of the area. This is your soils analysis. This indicates that water and sewer is available to the subject property. And here are your site photographs. This is a direct view of the subject property. This is an east view along Corporation Drive. This is a south view along Corporation Drive. This is a west view. And as a recap, the subject property is 77.30 acres. Again, 3 parcels on both sides of Corporation Drive. 2 of them are designated under CP district regulations. The 3rd parcel is zoned under heavy commercial. All 3 parcels are vacant. Surrounding zoning consists of commercial, industrial, rural, residential, and agriculture districts. Developers are currently working with staff to schedule a sketch plan review That'll be conducted at a later date. They actually are working with us to on a submission of a site plan review, which is the next step in this process. Egress provided. Hold on a second. And that's actually basically it for this piece. If you look in your packets on the second page of the staff report, you do see the recommendation from Cumberland County staff. Town staff recommendation is approval, and the Cumberland County Joint Planning staff recommend approval on the 21st of May. And I'd like to open up the floor to any questions that you may have.
Madam, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Will a sidewalk ordinance be in effect for this project?
Almost certain it will. This is new development. It's not sidewalks existing on that portion of Corporation Drive, but I'm almost certain it will be required. Yeah, that's correct.
Any other questions?
I would like to point out too, the developers are present. If you do have any questions,
Okay.
we've actually had very extensive conversations with them as they've developed this property, so we're well aware of what's coming. Well, not specifically, but they're giving us updates as they move forward to the site plan approval submission.
Okay, I want to open the public hearing at this time. Is there anyone here that would like to speak against this rezoning? Okay, is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this rezoning? If not,
Motion to close the public hearing.
have a motion to close public hearing. Is there further questions or discussion in reference to this rezoning?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion in case P 19-27 to recommend approval of the rezoning from C3 heavy commercial and CP planned commercial to M1P planned light industrial, and find A, the approval is an amendment to the adopted current Southwest Cumberland Land Use Plan 2014 map, and that the Board of Commissioners should not require any additional request or application for amendment to said map for this request. Item B, the following change in conditions was considered in amending the zoning ordinance zoning map to meet the development needs of the community. The subject property meets the location criteria for light industrial manufacturing as defined in the Land Use Policies Plan 2009, and the heavy commercial designation was likely put in place due to the existing C3 and CP zoning on the subject property. Item C, and this rezoning approval is reasonable and in the public interest because the district requested is in harmony with surrounding zoning, and the tracts are of sufficient size to allow for adequate buffering, landscaping, and parking for an industrial use when recombined.
Have a motion. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for being here with us this evening, sirs. Next, we have our manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Board of Commissioners. Bear with me, it's a little lengthy, so I'll try to get through it as quickly as possible. Update on the lake bulkhead. The contractor is back at work this week following a brief work stoppage due to the weather. All piles have been driven. They are currently working on the whalers and uprights for the bulkhead wall. Concurrently, they are doing grading work and backfilling with the stone element. Weather permitting, they are scheduled to work on the kayak launch area by the end of this week. Staff has coordinated with an irrigation specialist and has held a preliminary site visit along with the bulkhead contractor. The plan is for the contractor to complete the initial grading, and the irrigation will be installed, followed by the sod being laid. Rockfish Road Sidewalk Project. We're still consulting with our town attorney, Dan Hartzog, regarding the contract with Charles W. Hughes Construction, LLC. The Johnson Street Sidewalk Project. The stormwater calculations have been completed by a field engineer and are being reviewed for submittal to NCDOT. Staff has completed the paperwork requesting CSX review. CSX will notify us of their fee for review. Public Works Director Don Cisco is continuing to work on obtaining additional proposals for the walking trail at the former golf course property. In addition to Friesen Nichols, several additional firms have been contacted and an RFP has been written and sent out. Mr. George Rose was contacted. Mr. Rose remarked that he was not interested in the golf course trail and thanked us for the consideration. The new telephone system for all town offices was supposed to be installed last week. Due to a few minor issues with our telephone extensions, the installation date has been delayed. I will report a new date as soon as that has been determined. Last week, staff and I had a preliminary meeting with Ashley Anderson, a representative from the proposed firm that will be contracted to do our strategic planning. She spent almost the entire day here in Hope Mills. She was given an overview of the history of the town along with a tour. The town of Hope Mills has had brief conversations over the last few months with representatives of Cumberland County and Fayetteville Cumberland Economic Development Corporation about moving forward with proactively guiding development in the Hope Mills Municipal Influence Area, or the MIA. We are interested in meeting with Cumberland County Planning Department and FCEDC and North Carolina Department of Commerce to spearhead these efforts. Since Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell is the FCEDC Municipal Advisory Committee liaison, he has been included in this effort as well. Our first goal is to research ways to update the Southwest Cumberland Land Use Plan, but to do it in coordination with FCEDC from an economic development perspective. We have reached out to Grace Lawrence with North Carolina Department of Commerce to engage them in a study of our MIA to assist in regional rural planning and gateway development efforts. The overall goal of this would be to build an effort to exercise more control over the future development of our MIA, particularly in the areas of the proposed 295 construction. This will be done in conjunction with our strategic planning so that they will complement each other. We feel that as development begins to move forward, these efforts will provide the town of Hope Mills an advantage in order to guide the future of the development of this area. We are trying to set up a meeting between all parties between now and the end of July. I have been asked to give an update on the Episcopal Church parking lot, and this is rather long. I'll give a little history, and then we'll get to present. Sometime in 2014-15, the Stormwater Department started preparing to complete the West Patterson Storm Drain Capital Improvement Project. The Public Works Department was working on plans for the church property, and Mr. Gordon Johnson was hired for the church project and presented these plans to the town. The town manager at the time requested staff look over the plans. Staff found that they had designed a paved parking lot with curb cuts for stormwater to allow sheet flow off of the back of the parking lot. Due to the potential for severe erosion, staff advised against the plan and was asked to come up with a solution. Since the West Patterson storm drain line passes through the parking lot, staff asked the West Patterson project engineer for suggestions. He recommended installing inlets and 2 lines as part of the West Patterson project. The extra design work was done pro bono, and the installation was paid by the Stormwater Department and installed by the town's contractor sometime in 2016-17. Stormwater was not involved in any portion of the church or parking lot design. The engineer worked directly with Gordon Johnson to acquire the proposed parking lot elevations and dimensions. The storm drainage portion was completed when West Patterson was finished. However, the church parking lot never moved forward. To date, the storm drainage infrastructure is in place but can't be used because we can't drain a dirt lot into the storm drainage infrastructure. The inlets had to be secured with fabric or covered until the town moves forward with an improved surface on the lot. The drainage boxes and lines are brand new and in working condition. The newly installed inlets can connect directly to a parking lot when the town does move forward with paving. Part of the connection will require the paving contractor to raise the inlets to meet the proper elevation to drain the lot. Prior to the former Public Works Director leaving, he was beginning the initial stages of obtaining paving quotes for the church parking lot. However, since his departure, and due to the fact that this project is not and was not ever funded, it was placed on the back burner. Since it has been requested to incorporate all of the church property and the museum into the Heritage Park Master Plan, we are planning to include the church parking lot portion as well.
Good.
Provided that she is, and this may come as a surprise, Rachel Cotter, provided that she is not out on maternity leave, and I asked where she was hiding the baby, because when she was here last time, she did not look anywhere near pregnant. But provided that she is not out on maternity leave, Rachel Cotter with McAdams is planning to attend the July 15th regular Board of Commissioners meeting. I'm told that she's not due till later in the month of July, but you never know. I wanted to inform you all in case it came as a shock, because it sure came as a shock to me. So she will be here to present the final Parks and Rec comprehensive plan and the final master plan for the golf course property. The town hall now offers free public Wi-Fi in this building. This is at no extra cost to the town, and I believe all anybody has to do is go on their settings and it pops up and there's no password. To date, the town's contractor has cleaned the storm drain lines and outfalls on the following streets: Lillian Place, Dove Drive, Yorktown Road, Lexington Drive, Kenny Drive, Sturbridge Drive, Brandywood Circle, Hackberry Drive. Also, the following subdivision lines and outfalls have been cleaned: Meadowbrook Subdivision, Clifton Forge Subdivision, Fairway Forest East, and Fairway Forest West Subdivision. Staff intends to continue cleaning the lines through the end of June and beginning a new contract July 1st. This cleaning is in an effort to make certain that all the lines remain clean and clear in the event that we experience any type of adverse weather that creates heavy rain. Update on the Miss Hope Mills Cotton Pageant. After a year-long hiatus, the Parks and Rec Department is excited to be bringing back Miss Hope Mills, the Miss Hope Mills Cotton Pageant. The pageant will be the first event in a week-long celebration of Old Mills Day Festival, which is Old Mills Day is scheduled for Saturday, October 5th. This year, the pageant will be at Jack Britt School due to the facilities at Southview being unavailable until late in October. A dress rehearsal will be held at Jack Britt on Thursday, September the 26th at 6:30, and then Friday, September the 27th, the pageant for age group 3 to 9 will be held, and on Saturday, September the 28th, the pageant for age groups 10 through 22 will be held. Information packets will be available in the near future. The Parks and Rec Department is also soliciting sponsorships and volunteers to serve as judges. Sorry, had to take a break there. 8 and under Dixie Youth Baseball. On June the 15th, the Hope Mills Nationals defeated Lee County 14-0 in the first round district tournament held in Dunn, North Carolina. Hope Mills Americans defeated Dunn 18-9 to advance to the finals. In round 2, the Hope Mills Nationals defeated Hope Mills Americans 12-0 and 10-1 in a doubleheader. The Hope Mills Nationals has advanced to the district championship, which is being played tonight in Dunn at 6 p.m. The winner of this game will represent our district in the state all-star tournament. And the town of Hope Mills would like to wish them luck. Also, at tonight's game, the Hope Mills Americans will be presented with the sportsmanship trophy. I've just got 2 more paragraphs. To date, the town has delivered the Town of Hope Mills tourism booklets to over 20 locations, including featured local businesses and the library. If you know of a business that would like to display these copies of this publication, please contact me. The Special Events Committee has recently approved applications for 2 events that I wanted to bring attention to. One is for Music in the Park with DJ King James on Saturday, July 13th, 2019, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., and the Peace, Love Walk and Family Festival scheduled for Saturday, October 19th, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the municipal park. And that concludes my manager's report. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Madam Mayor, I just have one
Yes.
question.
Uh-huh.
Along with the numerous positive comments on the bulkhead project at the lake park comes one question. And I'm going to ask it for clarity. I think I know the answer, but I want to be clear about it. And the question is, how much of the lake park is going to be sodded
Any of the area that was disturbed
by the contractor?
by the contractor.
Okay, so that's, so any area, regardless if it was a roadway or if it was disturbed by that contractor, sod's going there.
I believe that's correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, Don.
It's essentially their
their-
construction zone, which.
Their construction zone.
Way that goes through
Okay,
Yeah. Yep.
all right, just for clarity purposes. There's been a lot of folks ask that, and I
Yep.
just wanted to make sure I asked that question tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I have one comment, if I may.
Okay.
Miss Adams, Robbins on Main told me Saturday they ran out of the books. And they
Okay.
would like to have some more.
We will certainly do that.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
At this time, we have no public comments. All righty. Next, we have our consent agenda. I'll go through this agenda. If there's anything you'd like moved to new business, consideration release of closed session minutes for June the 11th, 2018. Consideration release of closed session minutes for September the 5th, 2018. Consideration of release of closed session minutes for October the 8th, 2018. Consideration of release of closed session minutes for October the 22nd, 2018. Consideration of release of closed session minutes for November the 5th, 2018. Consideration of approval of special meeting minutes for April the 29th, 2019. Consideration of approval of regular meeting minutes for June 3rd, 2019. Consideration of acceptance of a bid in the amount of $3,402.64 from Environmental Asbestos to remediate hazardous material from 5439 Fountain Lane, currently funded in 2018-2019 budget. Consideration approval of a budget amendment number 14, an addition of $1,925 to the general fund for payment of invoice for Colley Priggen, PA. Consideration of approval of budget amendment number 15, acceptance of insurance proceeds of $18,565 for damage to the baseball field light during Hurricane Florence. Consideration of approval of budget amendment number 16, acceptance of FEMA proceeds of $218,200 for Hurricane Florence reimbursement. Consideration of approval for a third-party encroachment agreement for sidewalks at Biscuitville. Consideration of authorizing the town manager to execute an agreement with Stewart Incorporated for an ADA transition plan, the cost of which is $39,551 and is included in the 2019-2020 town budget. Acceptance of the May 2019 financial statement. Is there anything from this list that you'd like moved to new business? If not, do I have a motion to approve as read?
Motion to approve as written.
Okay, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Old business, discussion and possible action regarding interior demolition requested by Chuck Lysick, PE, to allow access to Parish House structural components.
Yes, Madam Mayor, the item is included in your packet. Mr. Lysick came and did a preliminary and then sent these site visit notes along with asking that we have this additional demolition done. I referred it to the Historic Preservation Commission, and those notes are included in your packet from Chairman Pat Hall.
Discussion, who would like to start the discussion?
If we're gonna move forward with this
I
project.
recognize Commissioner Legg at this time.
I'm sorry?
I said I'm recognizing you, Commissioner
Oh,
Legg. I
I'm
asked.
sorry, Madam Mayor.
Okay, we
Uh,
following our rules of procedure.
I think it's time that we move forward with this project if it's gonna be done. Cause, the more we drag our feet, the more it's gonna cost us.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I agree with you, Commissioner Legg, on many different ways. I mean, we hired the contractor, the engineer contractor, to come in and look at the integrity of the building. And I looked at what he's asking for as far as the floor in his demolition requirements. And I went one step better than that. Today, I was out of town over the weekend, but when I got back today, I called Melissa Adams, town manager, and asked for a meeting with Don at the Parish House to walk it myself, to see exactly what the engineer is looking for, and to compare the notes that go all the way back to December 29th of 2013, when the last person, I believe, was under that house was Arnold McLaurin from American Spec. And he went under that house with a scope and a flashlight. And in his report on 13, there were a number of damaged areas in the subfloor, the post, the columns, the beams, and it's all in his report from 13 that he found with pictures. So I know he was under there because I see the pictures. So that's one. The second one happened in 2017, when termite inspection went under the house, and they looked at it, and based on their map, it pretty much concurs with the Spec inspection from 13. So both of these documents clearly support, without any question, what Chuck Lysick and his team are looking to do. Now, I do believe there may be something that was misunderstood, but I want to clear it up. I got to be nice tonight, I know. Mr. Jeff Adolphson from the state, he never went under that parish house. He opened up the crawl space door. He looked in it with a flashlight, but he never crawled up under that parish house on either one of the crawl spaces during the time he was here. So that brings me back to say that in 2013 and 2017 were the last individuals that were up under that house. And with the damage that's there, clearly support why they want to cut the 2 holes in the first floor to access. Clearly. Because they've got to get in to do that. I know, I was there today. I looked at it. Now, was there an option placed to maybe cut a hole in the kitchen area and maybe in the office area? That's not where the most of this damage is. That's really got to be validated underneath the house. And that's what we hired him to do. And that's what actually should have been done when these other inspections were done. So we're only doing now what should have been done in 13 or even after 17, in my opinion. Now, I know that we don't like to cut holes in floors, and there possibly will be a way that we can cut that hole and save the wood from that floor cut. But we hired this engineer to do a job, at least I think we did. And if we don't allow him to do his demolition required to complete a structural evaluation and give us a cost estimate, then why did we hire him? Second thing is he's got to look at the beam in the second floor. And that's the integrity of that beam. So he's going to have to cut a hole in the floor up there on the second floor to verify the integrity of the beam it runs across. Got to look at the age of the house, and we're looking at verification of the structure. And then there was the other question about removing the interior wall and ceiling finishes on the first floor. Well, that's clear. It's full of mold. And there's mold spots all up and down that wall. He's got to remove the top pieces of it as well, the ceiling pieces, to verify where all the water damage came from. Again, he's got to verify the structural integrity of the building, and that's why we hired him. So I concur with all 4 of his recommendations, all 4 of them. I'm sure there's some folks that may disagree and have disagreed, as I have read as of late. And my only comment there is pick up the phone and make a phone call if you disagree with something. I mean, how simple is that? I'm going to be nice, about as nice as I can be tonight, because it really upset me. I thought we were going in a direction, like Commissioner Lake said. We hired this guy to do it. And if we don't agree to what he wants to do for demolition, then he doesn't need to come back. Can't handcuff somebody because they're the engineer. I'm not an engineer. They are. That's why we hired them. So if that needs to be a motion, that's my motion, Mayor, is that we approve all 4 of the recommendations from Chuck Lysick and give him the green light to where the town's got to do the work, and then that'll save us a tremendous amount of money. And then he'll come back and he'll finish his inspection, then we'll move on to the stabilization phase.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to follow.
Madam Mayor, we have discussion. We
Well, I
have
haven't got there. I'm just going through the motion. We will have discussion, but the motion was to follow the request of Chuck Lysick. Now, I'm opening the floor for discussion. Who would like to be recognized first?
All right, no,
Well, you said first, so Commissioner Larson.
I just want a clarification, because I'm looking at Ms. Hall, the chair for the Historic Preservation Commission, and she agrees with everything except for the commission agrees with everything except for cutting the hole on the first floor. How large is the hole that he wants to cut, and why can't he go into in the crawl space? There's nothing in his reasoning why he can't use the crawl space even as it's been in prior times used. So I'm just curious why. Because she seems to agree with everything else as far as the upstairs. It's just the downstairs that, so there's no size specification of the hole that's gonna be cut in the floor and why they can't use the crawl space.
Madam Mayor, I asked that question. I asked that question of Don today when I was down there. And they were looking at a 2x4 hole. This is not a huge hole they're looking at. They're looking at a hole big enough where they can put somebody down right where, basically, if you look at this map from this, all this termite damage is under there, so they can verify the structure at that point. That's one. Two, this has all got to be repaired, replaced. So all that wood is going to have to go down through those two holes to repair all of this damage. But I did ask that question. I really did.
Why are they not using the crawl space?
They can't get to it from the crawl space, either one of them. Not to where all this damage is. And I didn't know that there was two crawl spaces until today. I thought there was only one on the side, but there's another one in the back. And it's much smaller than the one on the side. To repair this much damage, it's not only in this report, but it's in Arnold's too. And he's got pictures.
All right, this time I'll recognize Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell.
Thank you. I am the liaison for the Hope Mills Historical Preservation Commission. We asked our citizens that serve on the committee what they thought. They were asked for their opinion, which is valuable, which they've sat on this commission for a long time, many of them. And like Commissioner Larson said, they do concur with a lot of it. They want to make sure that the original tongue and groove wood is preserved. They prefer that no new holes be cut in the first floor, that they utilize the crawl space entrance, and if that's not adequate, to make a new crawl space entrance on the other side of the building to gain access. There was questions raised as to why, if Mr. Arnold's crew could get underneath there and make their inspection and take those pictures, then why can't this engineer do the same? There was also questions as to, did Engineer Weishart ever even get these studies that you have in your hand there, Commissioner Bellflowers? Don't even know. Do we know? Does he have those inspection reports?
He had them.
He has them. He has the
He
pictures.
had them when this came, when he sent his email. They were
Okay.
sent May the 2nd.
Okay. I think everything else they pretty much concurred with. I just didn't really like the idea of cutting a hole into the floor because of the nature of the historical value of the flooring and that type of thing.
Yep.
And that, and I know Mason Steele mentioned about sistering of the joist to reinforce if there is termite damage, and there is termite damage, rather than replacing joists, can't they just be cisterned to reinforce the stability? There's another issue here that I just asked after we get through this, just some other issues about the personal property within, so they can do the work, and I'll address that after this motion has been voted on again. I think, you know, if the hole has to be done, I can live with it myself, as long as the wood, the integrity of the floor is kept intact
Agree?
and can be replaced, the hole, whatever, the wood can be preserved.
Madam Mayor, I agree with you, Mayor Pro Tem. I do. And I asked those questions myself today when I was there. Because I really, that's a floor that you want to save. And I believe if it's cut right, you can preserve where that hole is.
Isn't this their business?
Yes, it is their
So
business.
if that's
they're
what
the
they
engineers.
do, I'm sure if they're gonna come back and tell you how to renovate it, they're not gonna do anything that would cause issues to that renovation.
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion?
I'd like to make a comment.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner Edwards.
I respect the historical committee and everything, and I know how hard they've worked over the years and everything like that, but they're not engineers, and we're paying for an engineer, and I'm not an engineer, and we have to put our trust in those that are qualified and have credentials to do such. So I agree with Commissioner Bellflowers.
Any other discussion? If not, at this time, all those in favor, if you'd signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, be 4-1. So if you let, and then now, I have some other discussion from Mayor Pro Tem in reference to this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There were just some questions. The commission went through the parish house at 3 o'clock on Thursday, last Thursday. They identified some smaller items to be transported to a storage bin. Furniture, including a piano, they want saved for future use. In interest of fundraising, they request permission to have a yard sale of miscellaneous items remaining, to help free up cabinets and tables, which can then be stored in the back room or elsewhere while the building is undergoing stabilization. And Mason Steel has volunteered to take the lead in this, and will sort, price, and arrange items for sale if approved. Request he be given a key to the building so he can work at his convenience. Coming from the commission, request of the commission. And I will add, when we're done with this one, then I'd like Attorney Hartzog to tell the rest of the citizens what he did today. Or maybe it was last week.
No, today, I did submit the information for the Historic Preservation Commission to the Department of Resources so that we could get our historic district established. So that has been submitted. They have 30 days to comment, make suggestions. Once we receive that, we can take the final steps to establish our historic district.
We were just lacking a few items, right, from about 2 months ago.
What's that?
That needed to be submitted. We were just
Correct.
lacking a few
Yeah,
items, and
I was under the impression that we were waiting for additional information. That was a mistake. We had what we needed, and so, or we had what we had. That's been submitted, and we should be hearing back.
okay. So I guess the request of the board is just about the, is it okay for them to have a yard sale?
Well, I guess first, start with your
no.
first item. Has the materials been moved to the storage bin, the storage
Yes,
house?
Madam Mayor, the Public Works assisted with
Okay.
that.
Is there, and I guess the next question was in reference to being able to sell the remaining items in there as a yard sale, or is that possible, or is that something that has to go through the town? I don't know that we've ever sold town
If we
property.
need to do a surplus resolution.
Is there a de minimis
Or not.
amount for
Are
surplus?
these town-owned items that we would like to sell in a yard sale? Is that the?
They're very small items,
Yeah,
I
they're
believe.
very-
Mr. Steele can probably address
Yeah,
that if we need.
insignificant, probably, but I don't know.
Yes, these items are just mostly leftover items from the church.
Right.
In other groups, mostly small items in reference to arts and crafts. There are some miscellaneous mechanical equipment, electrical, and miscellaneous. But yes, it would be a beneficial fundraiser for our historical group. And if you allow us to do that, that's where the money will go.
Presumably, the value of the items being sold is less than $30,000, so I think we can probably just have a private sale, which would be sort of a yard sale type thing. So I think the answer is yes, we can do that.
Okay. Is that all?
So
Is
I
that
put
all?
that in the form of a motion, or you need an emotion?
Yeah.
I'll put that in the form of a motion then. Should we let the commission decide the date and time? Does the commission want to decide the date and time?
I would let them
Let them decide.
decide.
So the motion would be for our approval with the commission setting the date and time of the community yard sale. And also with,
Items to be sold.
I don't know if they wanted it, if they envisioned having other people partner in this yard sale. Like a community yard sale. Would that be allowable?
Yeah,
Okay.
and where's the yard sale going to take place?
As a community yard sale would help benefit and be a fundraiser, it could be conducted in the parking lot there at the church sanctuary, if that would be permissible.
In the dirt parking lot? Is
Yes.
that? Are we currently, I don't believe we're using that parking lot, are we? Is it?
It's accessible, there's a gate on the side.
Yeah.
Locked.
Yeah. We'll have to work that out. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed.
Madam Mayor, I do have,
Yes, sir.
I do have a follow-up question. Where are we on the church? I'm gonna ask this. Who maintains the church right now?
We currently have majority ownership. We have the right to maintain the church. We do have a closed session tonight to discuss that a
Okay.
little bit further.
The reason I say this, I guess, because while I was down there today looking at the parish house, there's been virtually no maintenance at all that's been performed on the church. And if we don't make some serious decisions about maintaining the church, it's gonna eventually become the same condition as the parish house in future years. And so, even though they're independent buildings, they're jointly connected. And we've got to have a serious discussion on ownership, 100% ownership of it, of the church, and then the maintenance plan to maintain the church. Or down the road, like we are tonight, we're going to talk about maintenance, and it's going to be a costly maintenance, just like the parish house, when something can be avoidable, preventable. But first, we have to have the conversation. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next on our
If I
agenda
may,
is
before we go to
okay,
the
go
next
ahead.
agenda item, I just did a little bit of quick research on selling small items. There's two ways we can do it. One is that the board can adopt a resolution saying that we're going to sell, but I think we need to know the items themselves. I think we can't just say we're going to have a yard sale without knowing what it is that's going to be sold. So we either need to have the list of items to be sold approved by the board, or the board needs to authorize I guess you could authorize the historic committee to come up with that list and conduct the sale, but in order to do that, the board needs to adopt a sort of resolution setting forth procedural requirements for the sale. So I think at this point, maybe we could do either option. It might be advisable to have the historic commission come up with the list of items to be sold, and then once that list is created and we know exactly what we're going to be selling, the board could then authorize that sale at a date and time to be
We
determined.
could, in using that same resolution we use for the
Surplus.
the surplus
It
properties.
would be similar.
Yeah,
Right,
we've
so
got,
yeah.
we've got a
Similar
to
resolution, we
that.
just would have to let that be, the items would have to be listed.
Right.
So that would have to,
But,
that could
and
take
the
place.
other alternative would be we need to come back with a sort of written guideline of how we want it done. I think it might be easier to do the prior
The
rather
other.
than the latter.
Okay. Okay.
So
Nick,
we
Okay.
need to
Motion
decide
on
which
that?
one you want to do.
do we need a motion for them to I guess what we need to
It
is
doesn't necessarily need to be in the form of a motion.
For them to do an
because
inventory.
We're not taking action, but if that's the direction we want to go, if y'all want to ask the Historic Commission to come up with that list.
I would make a motion, Madam Mayor, that the Historical Advisory Commission and Mr. Steele come up with a list of items that could be advertised in a yard sale.
Okay,
Is
so I
that
have,
good enough?
okay, we have a motion. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Okay, thank you. Next, discussion and possible action setting a date after mid-July for some more ceremonial ribbon cutting, accepting the donated sculptures. Do we have a particular, I know there's a calendar
There's a
in here.
calendar in there for July and for August. The plaques have been ordered and are going to be ready by mid-July. So we wanted to give you the option to go ahead and schedule something after mid-July. Hence, that's why there's a July and an August calendar.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
could we do it before the board meeting on the 15th?
I think it's have to be after 15th, right?
Yeah, I'd feel more comfortable later in the month.
Would it work for our, that?
That's, the 15th is exactly mid-July, and, you know, there may be a day or two
Would it work that fir-
fluctuation in when they arrive.
Would it work that first meeting in August?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep,
does
Or
that
would be
one. Yeah,
good.
that one would work
Yeah,
too.
with the Blevins are
We could
here,
do
would
it.
that work for you on August the,
Oh, we did?
it'd be
Fifth.
August the 5th? Okay. So you want to set August the 5th?
August 5th, okay. And you want to do 6 o'clock or 5:30, or?
Are we gonna do two separate ones? 'Cause since there's two of them up here and one
There's
at the
two up here
lake.
and one at the lake, so
d-
when would y'all like to start?
So probably start at the lake and then come up here so we could come inside for the meeting. Would that work?
Mm-hmm.
Mayor, you have your festival committee meeting at 6 on the 5th.
So I would say 5, maybe,
Yeah.
to be on the safe side.
Yeah,
Okay.
5 would
Does
work.
that
Mhm.
work?
So August
August 5th
5th at 5 p.m. And
At
start at the
5.
lake with the one at the lake.
at the lake,
And then come up here.
and then Municipal Park. Okay.
Okay.
And Mr. Morrison has just informed me that we have won that game.
All right. Good
Yay.
job. Yay.
No doubt in my mind.
Okay, so we need that in the form of a motion. Or,
I don't think so.
Think so, we're
No,
okay?
this is
Okay.
more ceremonial,
okay.
so,
So
yeah.
August 5th at 5, starting at the
The
lake.
lake, and
Okay.
then come up here, okay?
All right.
That's good.
All right, next we have new business, and this is discussion and possible action regarding recommendations for committee seats by the nominating committee. So I'll turn this over to the nominating committee.
Yes, Madam Mayor, we just basically made the recommendations based on chronological order of application received. Both applicants seem to be pretty well qualified. We have Ms. Mullen for Parks and Rec and Ms. Jones for the Events Committee.
Okay, so is that the only two that we have this evening?
We just have 2 seats open right now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have recommendations for the committee.
I'll make a motion, we approve both of
Okay,
them,
we
Mayor.
have a motion to approve. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Next on our agenda is discussion of possible action regarding renewing the full responder contract with Stony Point Fire Department. And I'll turn this over to
Yep.
Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The current contract runs out June the 30th. And there's only really one significant change in there, and that is that we have put a cap on the amount that we will pay in that 5-year. We're asking for a 5-year contract and capped at $70,000 as the maximum. We may not reach that, but we may exceed that in tax value. So that's why we wanted to put the cap on there. And the reason for having another 5-year contract is we are currently working on the public safety facility, and we are not in the foreseeable 2 to 3 years. We don't have anything concrete yet about a substation. Chief Hodges felt that it would be better to have a 5-year contract that would allow for time to get substation built. And if we do get one built before that 5-year is up, there is an option in the contract to get out of the contract. We have given a copy to Stony Point, and their board meets in July. So what I would ask respectfully is if you all approve moving forward with this contract, it would be with the option that they have approved it as well in their July board meeting. In the meantime, we will operate under the old contract as is. So, and I believe that's acceptable. We've done that with a couple of different contracts, and they have said that that is fine to do that.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Melissa or Dan, can you tell me in the contract where the language is to support either party can end the contract prior to its maturity?
Page 11 and 14.
Page 11.
Page 11?
That's where the notice is. Yeah, we have to get the notice.
Under what section?
the breach.
14 or not?
Under
It's
the
not
breach.
under 16, which is breach. I'm looking for the language of to support.
Modification, is it 15?
Are you looking for
for the-
a
where we-
provision that says you can end it at any time for any
Yeah.
reason?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the language I'm looking for. Is where it says that either party can end the contract prior to its maturity.
Oh, 12, okay.
So that's what I'm looking for.
Oh, page 12.
Page 12C.
The town may terminate this contract after due notice upon the occurrence of the following events. That's
I
page
think
12.
In answer to your question, I'm not sure there is a provision that says anytime for any reason the contract spells out particular
Reasons,
events that would
yeah.
give rise to the right to terminate. If we want that right in there, we can certainly add that.
Well, that's part of what, however, there is a mechanism included in the contract that either party can end the contract prior to its maturity. If it's not, I don't see it there.
Well, I
So,
think it's section 16, which is breach, and it
Yeah.
lists the reasons that would
That
allow
would-
us to end the contract early. So it's not at any time for any reason, it's in the event there's one of these events gives you the right with notice to terminate the contract. Particularly subsection C of that section. Like I said, if you
Well, I
want-
looked
if
at
you want
those.
a more solid provision that says the town can end for any reason with a certain period of notice, we can certainly add that provision in there.
I would feel more comfortable if we had that language separate, because when I looked through it, I saw, starting in section 14 was non-discrimination, then 15 was modifications, and then 16 is breach, A, B, C, and D. And my assumption here is that, let's say that we are in a position to build and staff a substation in 4 years. So we would want to disengage the contract. And I think that's what we're talking about, correct? Is that we could get out of the contract before its maturity?
Mr. Hartzog, under item
Wow.
C, where it's got, if the volunteer fire department closes its operation, that's one way that they could get out of it within this time frame. Could you not just add an item 4 under that and say, and the town builds a substation during this time? In other words, just add that one statement so that would, instead of having to redo a whole item, because you've got it in there, if they were to close,
Yeah.
that it's over. All you gotta do then is just say, if we were to open, it would be,
Sure, you could add that.
okay.
Yeah, I would just feel, Mayor, I would just feel more confident that if we had that language, and you could put it right there and see.
Yeah.
So is there a consensus of the board? You don't need to necessarily vote on this because you're not approving the contract, but is there a consensus that we should add that provision?
Yes.
Yes,
I'll make a motion to that effect,
Yes.
that we approve the contract with an escape
I've
clause
already done
be added in there.
He's already made
With,
the motion.
He's
in-
already-
in
you
particular,
did
what you
that?
mean is a
I'm sorry.
subsection C4
Yeah.
saying that the town may terminate its contract after due notice upon the occurrence of the following events, one of which would be that the town opens its own
Substation.
substation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And we really don't need, until this has actually been signed by them,
right.
we just wait till it comes back to actually final approval.
We
Well,
can, or
we
can,
You could sign it and send it to them, and then they sign it, and then it's final upon their signature.
Okay.
Or we could wait for them to sign it and send it to us. At this point, no one has signed it or approved it at this point. This is just a proposed contract, so we can tweak the language at this point with no issues.
Well, Madam Mayor, I could go ahead and make the motion to approve the contract with
Okay,
that
Well, I think
addition.
you just did.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
We have next, staff comments. Do we have anything from any of the
Jane.
staff? Ms. Starling?
I believe she has one item for you. I'm sorry.
I dropped my paper. Just wanted to remind everyone about the revitalization summit related to the Mid-Carolina COG that you've all been invited to. And have I got any more people who are interested in going? Because I need to let them know, because it's this Thursday. Okay.
Yeah, I had a conflict, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll be at a VFW conference, state conference. I can't go. I'd love to go.
All right.
That was it.
Ms.
And I have
Adams?
nothing,
Nothing.
Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Hartside? No. Official comments? Anyone have official comments tonight? I'll start whoever would like to go. Anybody have a comment?
Mayor,
All right, Commissioner Legg?
I would just like to thank Justin Mitchell for his report on Fort Bragg. I didn't realize that it covered so many acres or square miles. It is huge. And I didn't realize there were that many people living at Fort Bragg or serving at Fort Bragg. Also, I'd like to thank Mr. Brown for his presentation of PWC. I'm glad I fixed that leaky valve in my toilet tank after hearing his report. So, and congratulations to the Hope Mills baseball team. I'm part of a lot of those games this year for the regular team, and they're going to the state along with Dunn, I believe it is, and I'm very proud of them. Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Larson?
I don't have anything. Parks and Rec is next Monday, 6:30.
Commissioner?
Just like to thank everybody for coming out and hanging out with us tonight. Don, thanks for the tour today. It was great.
Commissioner Edwards?
I have nothing.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I just had one on July 4th. We're riding on a float or something,
Yes, sir.
meeting up here.
Yes, sir. I believe so. Probably at Parks and Rec. I'll get the details from Megan. She'll send something out and make sure that everybody knows where to go and what time.
I'd like to
Yep.
wish everybody a happy 4th, and hopefully we'll see you at our celebrations.
Okay, and at this time, do we have a motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Let's see here. A motion to conduct a closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A6 to discuss personnel matters, and to conduct a closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3 to consult with the attorney on matters within the attorney-client privilege.
All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. We will go to the conference room, and we just beg your patience. We'll be back as quickly as possible. Got them on?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, I'll call our meeting back to order. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Make a motion to move to seal the minutes of the closed session until such time as the release of the information will no longer frustrate the purpose of the closed sessions, and further no action was taken.
All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Do we have another motion?
Madam Mayor, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Y'all have a good evening, and we'll see you, if not before, 4th of July.
Fourth, yeah.